We want to end it. I think we're going to get it done. We apologize for some of the language there from Donald Trump. Little unexpected F word, but he went on to say so many people have died. A slightly different message from Zelenskiy. He thought Putin is not ready. Let's go over to Kimberly Halkett. She joins us from outside the White House. Before we'll go in a moment to Malcolm Webb. But Kimberly, it was interesting the nuance of Donald Trump there, talking about how he thought Putin wants to end this conflict, how he said he wasn't sure now. You never know if Ukraine can win back all its territory. That something of a change, a shift in tone?
There's a bit of frustration, first of all, to explain the profanity by the president. He's frustrated because, you remember, he said he'd be able to solve this war in 24 hours. And he acknowledged there that it is one of the more difficult ones. He didn't expect this. But he also says that he believes he has momentum, that there is, after securing the ceasefire in the Middle East, that now he believes he can bring some of that momentum to the diplomatic approach, where he hopes to sit down in Hungary and sit down in what he says will be a meeting of three presidents, is separated, and he will be the mediator. In other words, sitting down between the Russian president and the Ukrainian leader. But you're right. There has been a pivot because the U.S. president at one point earlier on in the year was very critical of Vladimir Putin, saying that he's killing people. He's acting absolutely crazy as he brings these drones in and attacks Ukraine's cities. But now that tone has softened, and it may have a lot to do not just with the phone call that took place between the two men on Thursday, but also sitting down face to face with him in Alaska for what he says is something of a setting of the table. For now, they will get the real work done in trying to end this war. He seems fairly optimistic he can make some progress when he meets face to face with Putin in Hungary in about 2 weeks' time.
All right, let's bring in now Malcolm. He joins us from Kyiv, Malcolm Webb, that is. And Malcolm, the tone from Zelensky, while I guess he's trying to walk something of a fine line and not come across as negative, he said, but he did say Putin is not ready. He didn't seem to share the same level of optimism, but did express confidence that with Trump's help they can get it done. More of the focus on getting Tomahawk missiles and perhaps trading them for drones, right?
Yeah, he certainly didn't share Trump's optimism, as you say. He did say again that Ukraine needs the Tomahawk missiles, and he did float the possibility of some kind of deal in which Ukraine could provide its drone technology or manufacturing capacity, or could collaborate in production with the US. Ukraine's developed drones very quickly. It's had to defend the front line and to defend its cities from drone and missile attacks by Russia. But yeah, Zelensky did say that we want a ceasefire, but Putin does not, and that he'll need to speak to Trump and see what pressure needs to be put on Putin to bring him to the table. And in the past, Zelensky said many times that Putin cannot be trusted and that only force would make him come to the table. So not quite in the same position as Trump there, who now seems to have been convinced by Putin in that phone call that Putin does want to make peace.
And Kimberly, on that point of the Tomahawks, he was asked several times. He didn't give much out, saying we're going to talk about that, basically, right?
Yeah, the U.S. president was fairly non-committal when asked directly, look, are the Tomahawks coming, or what do you think of the proposal that's being put forward, this trade that was proposed in front of the cameras by the Ukrainian leader, perhaps getting U.S. Tomahawks in exchange for Ukrainian drones? The U.S. president said, look, we've got a lot of drones here in the United States, but Ukraine does make good drones, and, you know, we'll be talking about that. So he was fairly non-committal. I think one of the important points to underscore is the reason for these Tomahawks from a White House standpoint, and why the U.S. president earlier in the week was initially not opposed to giving them to the Ukrainian leader. Of course, he's changed that tune now, but it was because it was seen as a way to pressure Vladimir Putin to negotiate to end this war. But again, that phone call, that pivotal phone call instigated by Vladimir Putin on Thursday to the U.S. president seems to have shifted the thinking process of the U.S. president. Now he's not ready to give those tomahawks just yet, and he wouldn't make that commitment in front of the cameras, instead saying he wants to go the diplomatic track, and he sees there being the opportunity to solve another war, as he said, in Hungary in 2 weeks' time.
And Malcolm, it wasn't just tomahawks that was top of the list for Zelensky, right? When he talked about a bilateral security agreement or bilateral security guarantees being the most important document he's seeking from the US.
Yeah, he said that security guarantees are the most important thing for the Ukrainian people. And then he'd also said that he'd already spoken with military companies and energy companies. With the military companies, he'd spoken about air defense weapons, although he didn't mention if Ukraine was going to get anything different or anything more than what it already gets, which includes Patriot missile systems, which are used to intercept incoming missiles and other aerial attacks. So for Zelensky politically, for sure he would like to leave DC, being able to say that he's got more weapons and more military support from Trump, but there was no indication from this press conference that that's going to happen at this stage.
All right, we'll leave it there. Let's thank our correspondents, Kimberly Halkett from outside the White House and Malcolm Webb from Kyiv.
Don't miss out and get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.